Hey, what's up, guys? I am sorry I didn't record an actual intro for this episode of my video blog, but I wanted to take you behind the scenes on a look for my recent shoot for Jute magazine with wardrobe stylist Tyler McDaniel, models Elizabeth and Rhett from Factor shows in LA, and makeup and hair artist Karina Fonti. The whole story of this editorial was kind of my homage to one of my favorite films, Michelangelo Antonioni's Blow Up. If you haven't seen it, I absolutely encourage you to. It's kind of one of the classic films about a fashion photographer. But I really wanted to kind of turn it on its head and do my own little twist on it, where the main character, the photographer of the images, is the woman instead of the man. The movie poster is a really iconic image of a guy straddling the model that he's shooting, and I kind of wanted to build this story around the girl being the photographer and kind of the male model sort of vying for her attention, but she's just kind of not really all that into him until the story sort of progresses. It was a really, really fun shoot. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't get to record an intro because I was busy sort of putting the set together, setting up the lights. Before the shoot day, Tyler and I emailed back and forth a ton of times on kind of wardrobe ideas. We knew we wanted to go for more of a neutral look, something fairly modern, but sort of an homage to the vintage. Like I said, the main idea was to just kind of pay tribute to something that I really love, and go for a very classic look, but with a modern spin on it.
Old Hollywood look.
As I just said in the video there.
Brush that hair back off your shoulder.
Elizabeth is great. She has a really striking face. When I was casting models for this shoot, one thing that I will share with you guys is that if it's not a job or for a guaranteed publication, which this wasn't at the time that we shot it, it's difficult to get bookers to do shoots with both male and female, or with multiple models in general, because they're generally not great for the models' portfolios. Luckily, both of these models came from the same agency, who I have a pretty good working relationship with the booker at, and they were totally on board with letting me do kind of my own thing and putting this story together, as long as I promised to get some singles of both of them, which is what I was knocking out there. We did a couple of single shots for both models. The big thing that I'll tell you with shooting an editorial where you have a fair amount of production and a full team and stuff like that is the pacing is much slower. There's a lot more waiting. It's kind of a hurry up and wait type scenario. As far as the technical stuff for this shoot goes, I would say the majority of it I shot with a 50mm lens. Lighting came from two Profoto D1s, one in a small 36-inch octobox, which is actually a Bones octobox. It's just one that I've had forever, and I plan on running it into the ground. And a fill from a 69-inch Ellen Chrome Rotolux octobox. So it gives a nice poppy and contrasty light, but it's still very soft and pretty. And the big thing that I really wanted to avoid was having a whole bunch of shadows going all over the place, since we've got light stands and ladders and fans and stuff like that as props in the frame. I didn't want to have a whole bunch of shadows bouncing around all over the place, and that's kind of the big part of the reason why I used such a huge fill light. As the story progressed, this is kind of the hero shot of the whole shoot that we sort of were working towards, with Rhett laying down and Elizabeth straddling him. No shortage of inappropriate and hilarious jokes, but they were both troopers, especially Elizabeth having to have her knees on like a hardwood floor for an extended period of time.
Put that left hand back on her leg.
She killed it, and she really toughed it out, which was nice. The two of them had really good chemistry together. They got along really well, and there wasn't any kind of awkwardness, which a lot of times you'll get if it's an inexperienced model or models who haven't worked together before. A lot of times if they're put into sort of an intimate looking situation, it really translates in the pictures that they're not, clicking. Luckily, the two of them, they worked really well together. This is just sort of another example
force
of how working with a full team is.
Everybody's
People are always
very,
jumping in and out of the frame.
Very friendly.
You just have to be patient and you kind of collaborate together. But it's nice having those extra eyes on set to see exactly what's going on. And then occasionally you just have to jump in and make set changes just to keep the composition looking solid and appropriate. Sometimes having a bunch of empty white negative space is not ideal, so I moved the set around. It's supposed to look like an active photo shoot, so things are going to be moving around anyway, so it doesn't really affect continuity or anything like that. It's not like we're doing a film where if things move around from shot to shot, it detracts from it. With still images, it's not quite as important or apparent.
Nice.
For a shot like this where I had a very specific image in mind and a very pre-planned sort of composition and pose, a lot of it is just tweaking the small variances. And then again, as I said, if you're going to do a shoot with multiple models, promise the bookers that way that you will get some singles. That way at least the models, if the whole shoot is totally not beneficial for them, it's kind of tough to justify their time and stuff like that when, you know, maybe they could be working on other jobs or things that are directly going to benefit their portfolio. But if you promise that you'll at least get a couple of singles of each of the models, that makes it a lot better for the bookers. This was the last shot of the day that we did. It was a really efficient shoot, actually. It's nice when you have a whole team that really clicks and works well together, because generally speaking, most stylists will overpull and bring more clothes than you really need for a full story. And if you're fast and you're efficient with your time, you can end up shooting more looks than you really had planned. So these are the images after retouching and everything that showed up in the magazine. There will be some additional outtakes that I will share on my Tumblr, so be sure to follow me on Tumblr to see those. And definitely check out the whole team on social media, follow them on Instagram and stuff like that, because they all really killed it and I can't thank them enough. Thanks for watching.